Hi Geminis. So this is the second Gemini reading for the channel. I've been using this little African tarot deck that I found on Amazon recently. There are a few different reasons why I've been using it, but I really love how much it really kind of centers joy in the readings. I haven't had any incredibly heavy reads come from it yet, and when anything heavy does come, it seems to be able to give it sort of like an optimistic hope. I also really like how small they are, and that's made it really easy to shuffle them. But what's interesting is that I was practicing with my original Rider-Waite tarot deck yesterday, and realizing that the cards were really kind of flipping out at me a little bit more, and I was kind of wondering why that was happening, but maybe thinking I should just do some classical reads for a little while with the classical deck. And it's interesting because the fact that the cards are bigger, it actually does make it more difficult to shuffle a little bit, but maybe sometimes there's like a spiritual lesson in like the very basic things that we do on the day-to-day, and maybe in this case it's kind of that even though the cards are a little bit more difficult to wield, maybe that can kind of make the lessons pop out at us like more easily, which is interesting that just because things are easy doesn't necessarily mean that they're good or what's best for us in the moment. So just an interesting possible lesson. So to frame sort of what's going on for Gemini, we'll use the original Rider-Waite tarot deck today to get some air energy and some music as a centering for the read. And gives me a breath. So Gemini is the mutable air, the wind. You can get a Celtic cross for Gemini. Anything that Gemini could maybe use to know right now. Maybe for Gemini. The smaller cards also make it easier to put out the deck. And I'll go back to those soon. So Gemini, in the current energy right now, you have the Knight of Swords in the reverse. So this can kind of mean brashly moving forward impulsively with some kind of idea or communication. So kind of having a scattered energy maybe about the way that you communicate your ideas to other people. So maybe a scattered energy when it comes to your intellect, how you're thinking, and how you're communicating. In the challenge is also another Knight card, but the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So two Knights here in the reverse. So kind of the energy you're going through and what the challenge is sort of maybe like a brashness and impulsiveness, a haste of idea. Not necessarily having it be the time to necessarily move forward fast with something that you're doing, but maybe to think twice about whatever energy that you're in right now. And sometimes the delay is just the moment that we're in the moment. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse can be more of a brashness or a hastiness with how you're managing your resources. So it can be not necessarily about a loss of resources or a loss of gain, but maybe like a rethinking about the way that you define abundance in your life and resources. And this can often have to do with your career and your money, but can also just be about what defines abundance in your life. So two Knights in the reverse here, meaning sort of like a hastiness of energy, and maybe a scattering of energy, especially when it has to do with that Pentacles and that Sword energy. So communication, cognition, with the challenge being more about how you determine what abundance is in your life. And this card wanted to flip in the reverse. In the above energy, so in the conscious of what the world is seeing of you, what you understand that you're going through right now, is the Two of Swords in the upright. So this can kind of be a balancing and a weighing between especially two different decisions. a plan, trying to make a plan and trying to decide which way should I go. More sword energy here for Gemini, just like in the present energy. But having this can kind of signify or have to do with your night energy in the present energy and as a challenge, because this could mean sort of taking more time because you are actively trying to decide on which way to go, whether it's usually, with ideas, how you think, how you communicate, but it can have to do with any sort of decision in your life, trying to decide which way to go about something. And in the subconscious energy, what's in the below energy, what you either are consciously aware of or not, but not necessarily sharing with people, or again, just not conscious of it, is the Two of Wands in the reverse. So more two energy here. And so this can be sort of about delays in planning. So feeling like there is maybe some sort of plan that you are wanting to work on or that you have in mind, but this is not necessarily moving forward clearly with that plan. It's sort of feeling like you are delayed in your planning, which again kind of goes along with the fact that you're trying to maybe decide one way or the other about a decision or an ideology shift, or really that can mean anything that you're making a decision about, and this meaning that you're feeling sort of delayed in the planning, and that follows along with those knights in the reverse, sort of maybe just taking a second to see where things stand, which isn't always what the mutable air is wanting to do. It kind of just wants to blow this way and that way, to think about different ideas and bring in new communication and bring in new ways of thinking. But sometimes it can be helpful to bring that energy down a little bit to a lower pace and a slower pace to see what's going on, taking that restful time to collect thoughts so that you can then move forward. In the past energy, you had the Judgment. So maybe this is a major arcana card, so maybe something big happened in your life in the recent past. This is kind of a card about answering the call, really going in the direction or experiencing something in your life that was supposed to set you on the path that you are currently on. So some sort of judgment type action or event happened to you, and it pushed you maybe in the direction of wanting to answer or needing to answer some sort of a divine call for you. And in the so feeling that kind of calling, but then now being in that Knight of Swords in the reverse energy of sort of feeling like the way that you are communicating and thinking is maybe feeling a little impulsive and hasty, and not necessarily knowing which way to go immediately. And then in the near future, you have the 10 of Rods in the reverse, and this can seem like being overwhelmed by something that you are going through, some burden. In the upright, the 10 of Wands, passionate fire energy, sort of like coming to the end of some sort of major, sort of coming to the end of a burden, making it to the top of that hill with that 10 of Wands. But in the reverse, it can kind of feel like you're feeling overwhelmed by the fact that you might be coming to the end of some kind of a journey, but feeling burdened in that. And there does seem to be sort of like a little bit of a stressful energy that you're feeling about really how to move forward at this time. So maybe feeling overwhelmed by this indecision, by this delay. Interestingly, your advice right now is the 5 of Wands, so passionate fire energy. But the 5 of Wands really can be sort of about like conflict and like not battling it out necessarily with other people, but that's sort of how I see the 5 of Wands is like really, it can be just like sticking up for your guns, moving forward passionately, but maybe in a way that sort of feels like conflict and sometimes like fighting. So having this be in the advice right now, I don't think that there is one kind of thing anyone should do in every single moment. I think that Geminis can sometimes be unnecessarily thought of negatively because of their ability to wear multiple hats at one time. Being the mutable air, the wind is not always like a comfortable sensation to feel. And so sometimes it can just feel like people generating conflict for conflict's sake, and Geminis can very much get lost in that energy, but sometimes that windiness is necessary so the pollen can spread around and the earth can continue to exist. There's a lot of reasons why wind is necessary. So this advice is to kind of keep sticking up for what you're doing. Don't necessarily fight with people unnecessarily, like that's stressful for everybody involved, and But this is sort of about like maybe a little bit of like conflict about what's going on here, especially with this energy in the upright of not necessarily knowing what decision to take about some sort of an idea or a decision. Maybe, you know, this conflicting energy is supposed to be what you're going through right now with this delayed energy, so you can really think about what the next steps are. And the energy surrounding you is the Eight of Cups in the reverse. So the Eight of Cups in the reverse is about maybe rethinking something one more time, deciding whether or not to stay or whether or not to go. In the upright, this can mean sort of, you know, you're feeling like it's time to leave some sort of a situation, some kind of a relationship, a job, an ideology, something that's just an internal process of yours. But in the reverse, this card really means kind of thinking one more time about whether or not you're going to leave something behind. And that something doesn't have to be a person. It can be a way that you think. It can be a job. It can be a lot of different kinds of things. So thinking one more time about whether or not to stay or go in some sort of a decision. And that is, you know, you are actively working to make some sort of decision as well. In hopes and fears, and I really read this placement more as fears, is the Emperor card in the reverse. So in the upright, the Emperor is controlling in a helpful way, controlling over and, you know, watching over his or her kingdom, but more of like a masculine type energy, Aries fire energy. And there is really a lot of fire energy in here, especially in your subconscious, in your advice, and in your near future. And so this can sort of be a fear of being controlled or of being controlling in whatever this path is that you're going for right now. So not wanting to be dominated, not wanting to be too dominant in a controlling and aggressive way towards other people. And so seeing kind of, you know, this wand energy and the air energy, trying to just make sure that you're not using power or having power used against you in an improper or controlling way. And the outcome of this reading, if nothing were to change based on kind of what's just going on right here, is the King of Wands. The King of Wands is determined king, masculine energy of their domain. Gemini is a masculine sign, but this is passionate fire energy, really being highly confident, sort of ruling over the kingdom with passionate energy that takes care of its people through confidence and determination. And so whatever energy it is that you're going through right now, trying to make a decision, feeling kind of delayed in that, feeling overwhelmed by this, having your advice kind of be to continue kind of standing up for what you think is right, even though that doesn't always mean that things look like just happiness and celebration and lightness all the time, which is what will happen when you're a dual sort of sign that can see both the light and the shadow aspects. The outcome of this is really moving towards this King of Wands energy, this confidence and this passion being used in a mature way. And so this is just kind of part of this journey. So even though you're overwhelmed, what's kind of coming up is that you're standing in this passionate fire energy, even though you're an air sign, that that can only be come to once you've moved through trials and sort of tribulations. So we get a couple color cards for Gemini, just like 3 color cards, please. And color cards for Gemini. 3, and it gave me 3. Comfort, intuition, and sweetness. Sweetness is very Gemini-centered for sure. So first we'll do comfort. When comfort comes up in a reading, it signals that you may need to invite some more self-care and comfort into your life. A great way to do this is through nourishing your spirit or higher self. This can be something as simple as cleaning out your home and rearranging your space in order to invite in clear and comforting energy. It can also mean taking the time to prepare yourself a meal that your body has been craving. Whatever it is, do it with ease and give your nervous system the gentle break it needs. So the nervous system is very much Gemini. It seems like you're feeling scattered. You have some, this passionate fire energy swirling around your air, and air and fire together it makes fire exist, but you can also get things like fire tornadoes from that. So you want to make sure that you're always kind of balancing the energy of that duality. Looking for comforting energy, preparing yourself a meal that your body craves. It's Cancer season right now. Birth's the water signs, very home oriented, associated with the breasts and with the stomach, where the mother moon is domiciled. So maybe just taking some time for comfort right now, because with so much going on, sometimes to just move forward isn't always the answer. Things can just get messier that way. So maybe taking this time to have a delay in that planning and just to seek comfort and have that be okay. We don't always have to be moving forward all the time. And this energy allows us to move forward. It doesn't always have to feel so hard to be moving forward. And just inviting in clear and comforting energy. So Gemini, I think, balances duality so that they can figure out what is the truth and what is clarity. And sometimes just being comfortable helps us do that. Sweetness, this is the first time I've ever gotten this card, but I love this for a Gemini read, especially with that heart for Cancer season. This card is a signal to savor the sweet moments in life and to remember them when things get rough. The small things in life are often the sweetest, but they easily go unnoticed. Sweetness is always there if you look for it. So keep looking for that sweetness and that comfort. Things don't always have to be earth-shaking to be meaningful, and actually it can be very detrimental to us if we don't remember kind of how to appreciate the little things. So maybe this is what this time is for, appreciating the little things. They say if you can't appreciate the little things, then you really can't appreciate anything. Intuition. Intuition is an inner knowing that we all possess. Society encourages us to ignore the deep knowledge that sits within us and asks us to use intellect instead, very air energy, Gemini especially. But sometimes intellect alone can't guide you where you need to go. The more you pay attention to your intuition, the stronger it becomes. What is your intuition trying to tell you? Where is it guiding you? So a reminder for Gemini to, it's great to have a lot of knowledge, because without knowledge, you don't really know the best decisions to make. Not everything is heart over head, but you always want to make sure with that duality that you're balancing the two. So this is a call to, use a little bit of your intuition. That also looks like an eye. Some people say that Aries, which, this emperor energy actually, that Aries is everything in the head, but really the eyes are part of the nervous system, and Gemini is the lungs, the arms, the shoulders, and the hands, and the nervous system. So I like that the eye is on there. So maybe working to tap into your intuition, not just allowing yourself to be swayed by your feelings, but intuition is a very different thing than feelings, and it takes practice to understand which is which. Not that feelings are bad, but they can also, bring you into a problematic direction, and that's another lesson of Cancer season, of the water signs as well, that there's no just one answer or extreme. We balance duality, so we understand duality doesn't really exist in its purity. It just kind of defines spectrum. So tapping into more of that intuition and just looking for sweetness and comfort right now, which I think Gemini also does know how to do, but it's also okay to do that, and it can really help us in some instances. So getting a couple tea leaf tarot for Gemini, please. Couple more, not too many. Couple more tea leaf for Gemini. More tea leaf. Okay. So first looking at dealings or relationship with a younger woman. Could have to do with you or someone you know, a younger self, a younger feminine energy of yours, you when you were younger in your feminine energy. Carriage, a journey, either physical or mental. So it does seem like you're going on a journey right now of some type, and journeys are not always, easy. Diamond, you'll be receiving or giving a precious gift. Jug, lighthearted, carefree time. So really just taking time to have that Gemini lightheartedness in what you're doing. Maybe coming out of the intellect a little bit so you can work on balancing the head and the heart, which is an ever-present, constant journey. Kite, vacation, could be a good time to take a vacation, a true vacation, or a vacation in your mind. Hard work is ahead, so it does seem like you're going through a journey right now, and it's not just easy. Warning you of a problem either now or in the future. Finger, associated with Gemini, is the hands and the fingers. So there may, there could be, there's always, problems around the corner, but this is just why I think tarot, if there is any spiritual benefit to it, if you're thinking like this is an energy that's resonating for you, a reminder that one of the goals or one of the possible choices that you can take is to sort of work with that hasty, scattered energy that you're feeling in order to balance it a little bit more with your heart, so that you're prepared for the journey ahead, or it does help you move you forward. A dark man, dealing to a relationship with a man with dark complexion or hair. Could be meaningful for you. Good fortune. So it looks like the outcome of all of this is really this confident, kingly energy. And again, whether you're not, regardless of your gender, Gemini is a masculine sign, and so standing in kind of that masculine Gemini energy with confidence and with that fire energy. A stubborn, aggressive person could be what you're experiencing right now could have something to do with kind of needing to stand up and maybe allow yourself to act productively within this conflicting sort of fire energy. Could be you or could be someone else you're working with. A stubborn or aggressive person can help to balance the head and heart a little bit when you're dealing with difficult situations like that. Not always just be forging ahead, because that can make things, sometimes more difficult. It's okay to be delayed. And a sincere wish will be granted. So you're trying to make a decision here, trying to decide, should I stay or should I go from some kind of an idea or something. Feeling overwhelmed by that. Get a Rumi card for Gemini. But there's never shadow without light, like the two literally need each other to exist. Get a Rumi card for Gemini. Let me get a Rumi card for Gemini. Get a Rumi card for Gemini. The first one I see. Can I get a Rumi card for Gemini? I'm going for 2, 3, 4. Sacred Soul Sister. So 37 in the Rumi deck. And this is like the pinkness of that comfort and sweetness of the colored oracle deck. And can it be, the Rumi readings can be long, so I'll just read what I can, and especially the poem. Sacred Soul Sister, when you are conscious, a cloud of sadness surrounds you. When you are beyond consciousness, the moon rests in your arms. So Gemini can kind of be cloud of sadness and resting in your arms. When you are conscious, the beloved moves out of your reach. When you are beyond consciousness, the ecstasy of love moves your way. When you are conscious, you are depressed like fall. Fall is the air, the autumn. When you are beyond consciousness, the winter cold feels like spring. Spring is all this fire energy here. All your wavering is due to your longing to be stable. So this wavering and these nights in the present energy and in your challenge, those nights in reverse. All your wavering is due to your longing to be stable. Look for instability until you become stable. Your sacred soul sister is your partner in consciousness. Make no mistake, she is you. She is just the part of you so great you cannot always see her from your conscious mind. It is sort of like the eye of the dog eye, trying to see its whole self, which is a bit tricky, for as it moves to see its rear, so the rear is moved along too. So rather than through direct perception, the sacred soul sister is met through reflection. She can be perceived in those moments of rest where great ideas are born. So this moment of rest, like maybe taking a time to rest from the hastiness so that you can get that sword energy, air energy, so that great ideas are born. Her worlds are those we access in sleep and meditation, or absorbing engagement in activity where the mind can relax and drop into realities far more vast than those of daily life and be replenished. So taking that time and tapping into the intuition. You know something deep in your bones without knowing how or why or without particular reason. You just know. It doesn't make sense, but you know. It may be joy that you know. It may be that you know to avoid a certain situation. It may be that something is going to work out beautifully despite appearances to the contrary at a particular moment. It may be that you are meant to take a certain path. You just know. So there might be something that you know right now. And this is a confirmation that your knowing, mysterious as it is your sacred soul sister talking through you. Trust it and act or not accordingly. So if you're feeling, this is about tapping into your intuition. There's something that you know. Tap into that intuition, that comfort, that sweetness. Intuition was still at the top of the deck there. Because there's something that you know, and maybe sometimes you can know things and see things. Gemini is the witness and the storyteller, but not necessarily always do something very active about it. And sometimes taking this relook at your planning, realizing you're overwhelmed, so maybe it's a good time to rest so that you can get in touch with your intuition. That might be a good thing. It might be a helpful thing for you to do right now. So looking for sweetness, looking for comfort, tapping into your intuition. You don't always have to be blasting forward with new ideas. Sometimes the rest is where the growth is happening anyway. So thanks for joining, Gemini.